we're just trying to get the attention of somebody on the ship here. See, will they have a word with us to explain their presence on John Horgan Quay in Cork City? I think the man appears to be on the phone, so he's looking for instructions. To see what the powers of it. It's not the NATO HQ, I'd say. Hello, could someone have a minute to speak to us, please?
Someone on the way.
Someone coming?
Someone on the way.
Thank you. Someone is coming to have a word with us. So we're here, people would be familiar from previous videos. There's been a whole string of warships coming in here over the last, how long now? Over the last 6 months anyway. We've had British warships, French ones, Belgian ships. Where else did they come from? Canada were here. So here again we have another Dutch warship coming back to us. We believe this ship is on a return journey from the Caribbean, where they were visiting one of their colonies. And you probably see, I don't know if the cameras had a look, there is some very advanced communications equipment as part of this. It's designed for international usage and can monitor communications in some advanced form, whatever that means. So she's part of a military alliance, and our concern here in the Irish neutrality campaign is that they shouldn't be in our harbour. They shouldn't even be in our seas, because they're part of an aggressive warmongering alliance worldwide, and we're a neutral country, at least we're supposed to be, but the drive seems to be that our state wants to dispense with that and drag us into this militarism. So our question, wondering, is this part of the process to drag us into militarism? So, the line on so far, so can we couple no with the hort of the stoka, can all rag, can kindling, another keho can talk that if you go again to shrugging, can lower the hubble the tira for shot. You recognize? Peter, you've been on the quay side here a couple of times. Why do you bother coming to John Horgan Quay? Bit off your beaten track.
Because I don't believe in war, I believe in peace, and we have a policy in this country of neutrality. Supposedly we had a policy anyway, and the people of Ireland have spoken over and over again and said many times over that they don't want to get involved in wars, they don't want to get involved with NATO, and they want to maintain and be as neutral as much as they possibly can. So the government, this ship, it's moored up here in the middle of Cork City. It's a NATO warship, and whatever people say at the moment, there is a war happening at this moment in time between NATO and Russia. It's a proxy war between NATO and Russia, and it's a full-on war now. And here we have a NATO warship moored in the centre of Cork City, and this, at a time of war, is a legitimate target. Now, if, say, Russia wanted to attack, this would be a legitimate target. So this is actually, you know, it's like to have this ship moored inside the middle of Cork City. It's I think a slap in the face to the people of Ireland.
It is.
Especially by the politicians. Yeah. Whoever invited this ship here, they're slapping the people of Ireland in the face, and it's a normalisation process, because we're hearing over and over again now about about the European Union Army, PESCO, and about NATO, and it's being normalised that we won't be neutral anymore, and that we'll have to take a side, but yet the people say over and over again, no, we don't want to be a part of NATO, we don't want to be a part of the PESCO army, but yet our politicians, they keep inviting ships like this into Irish territory, into Irish waters. So I would say at this time that the politicians and the government, they're meant to represent the people of Ireland. They're not representing the people of Ireland anymore, and the people of Ireland need to to vote out these so-called representatives of the people, because they don't represent us anymore. Not anymore. Not when it comes to neutrality, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's the overwhelming majority of Irish people cherish very, very deeply the neutrality of the state. Like it's high in our importance. It's not a whimsical thing, and to see that government would treat us so flippantly as to, you know, have these ships coming in here in our faces is wrong. There's a lot taking place. Like I know Micheál Martin has been announcing there is to be a consultative forum on international security policy take place. It's starting here in Cork on the 22nd of June up at UCC, so people should try to go and maybe attend that forum and voice their opinion. If it's supposed to be a consultation, then let's be consulted and offer our opinion. But it's a consultative forum, and we're told it'll be headed, or it will have a whole team of international defence industry experts on its panel, as being chaired by an interesting character, a person going by the name of Dame Richardson. And she is a dame. If I give you her official title, it'll kind of paint a picture. She is a dame of the most excellent order of the British Empire. The same lady is also recently appointed president of a group called the Carnegie Corporation of New York. These are the same group, Carnegie Group, who promoted eugenics and race theory in the early years of Nazi Germany, and who worked side by side with Henry Ford, Standard Oil, the Rockefeller Foundation and so on, in the financing of Hitler. So she's the head of a foundation which has got very dubious and checkered history, especially in the arena of peace and war. So we don't know what, well, I suppose we can guess really what the purpose and intent of having her as the head of this commission is supposed to be. And that is, we think, is to drag us into the whole militarism of both Europe and of NATO. So this is a matter of great concern. Peter, only earlier you were saying it's the peculiar how their favoured format of a citizens' assembly isn't to be used to discuss neutrality. Rather, they're handpicking these other forums, because I think, honestly, government would fear an open public debate on the issue of neutrality, because they would lose it hands down in the morning. That's my bet. But we should be having that discussion. Even watching news reports on the media for the last few nights, constantly government spokespeople and various experts are running down our defence capability and saying we're not able to defend our waters, so we need the likes of the NATO vessels, we need EU army patrolling our seas, we need the British Royal Air Force patrolling our skies, a matter which is currently in the Supreme Court being challenged for its constitutionality. They tell us we need to be currying favour with the Americans, who have an Air Force base pretty much taken over Shannon Airport and have transported millions of US soldiers and war equipment to war zones, costing millions of lives over the last 20 years. So it's not a small matter to say there's a vessel of a foreign navy on a courtesy visit. This is not a courtesy. How can you have a courtesy when a representative of a big warmongering alliance like NATO comes into your front room? That's not a courtesy. That's the height of disrespect shown to the Irish people. We also note, incidentally, the ship has not flown even a courtesy visiting flag, which is according to naval regulations and maritime law. They should display the flag of the visiting port they're in. So there must be a debate going on. I don't know if they're going to come and talk to us. Hey guys, you going to come and talk?
There's nobody coming.
Nobody coming?
Nobody's coming. No.
So we're going to condemn you for not speaking to the people of Cork?
We're not going to speak to you.
Sorry?
We're not going to speak to you guys.
Why not?
Because that's our license thing.
This one? You get to... Are you not going to speak to the people of Cork? No statement. Why you're here?
Mr. Bentley, right?
Why are you here?
No, we're just for rest and recreation.
Rest and recreation.
Yes.
But you're a NATO warship.
No.
Yes, you are. You're NATO. You're in the NATO, aren't you?
You're part of the Netherlands, yes.
You're part of NATO,
Part of the Netherlands.
which is a warmongering alliance. Can I ask you, why are you not flying a courtesy flag of the Irish Republic? Disrespect to the Irish people?
I won't tell you.
Isn't it the rules of the Navy to fly the flag of the port you visit? And you don't do this? You disrespect us.
Oh, you mean
Our flag.
that's the flag of the commander?
Where's the flag of the Irish Republic?
Oh, we don't have it. Sorry.
You come here, you don't have it. What utter disrespect. They have no flag of the Irish Republic and they've come to visit us. Are you serious that you don't have any flag and you're visiting us here? This is terrible. Terrible. Anyway, it doesn't look like we're going to get any satisfaction from them. They've arrived, imagine, to visit a port and oh, they have no national flag for Ireland. It's a discovery they've made. They didn't make it and they're coming into port.
We just heard him, that man there, saying this is a NATO warship.
Yes.
He just nodded his head and said yes. And let's never forget what NATO represents. Let's never forget the people of Iraq. There's over 1.2 million men, women and children, and they were murdered in Iraq by NATO.
Yeah.
There was men, women and children murdered in Libya, in Syria, in Vietnam, in Yemen. Millions and millions of people have been murdered by this military alliance for no reason whatsoever.
And probably
for money, for power and for greed.
Yeah, probably 500,000 unfortunate Ukrainians have lost their lives in this past year thanks to NATO saber rattling and pushing weapons in there, creating and fueling a war. So there is no courtesy. Like for a Navy ship not to remember that they should fly the flag of the port they're visiting, that's not a mistake. If that's the care they have, then really should they be trusted with any kind of weapons? It's all wrong here. So we can see the attitude of NATO. Is this what Irish citizens want? Is this the courtesy that we deserve as a people? Is this how our neutrality should be treated? I think not.
With regards to the war in the Ukraine, it's as much as NATO's fault as Russia's fault.
Yes.
Yeah, and I actually was speaking to a very high-ranking officer in the Irish Defence Forces,
Okay.
and I asked him about the situation in Ukraine,
Yeah.
and his response to me was, it's an American war created by the Americans.
Yeah.
The Russians were left with no option. No, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to excuse the Russians
Of
and
course.
what they've done,
Yeah.
but this alliance has used Ukraine, has used Ukrainian people as cannon fodder. And it's a proxy war
Yeah.
between the Americans, between NATO,
Yeah.
and between Russia.
Yeah.
And Ukraine is stuck in the middle and being decimated and destroyed as a result. And we have always, in Ireland, promoted peace and promoted diplomacy.
Yeah.
And why are we not going to the Russians and going to NATO and trying to get these people around the table to talk and to find a peaceful solution to this? Because there's only two ways this war is going to end now at this moment in time, and that's either through diplomacy or through nuclear weapons. That's the only way. So there are the two options.
It will end.
Yeah.
This is for sure.
Yeah.
It will end. So the glaring omission on our government's part is that we haven't been calling for peace. Why have they not called for peace? That everyone sit around the table and say, let's stop the bombing, let's just work out how to resolve this problem. Because it will stop, and there will be talks eventually, even if there is utter destruction beforehand.
So why not call for peace now
Yeah.
instead of waiting for another 500,000 people to
Yeah.
die
Yeah.
over in that unnecessary war? But the only problem with peace is peace does not make money for
This is
these
it.
warmongers.
This is a huge multi-billion, probably multi-trillion-dollar industry, war is. The American economy is pretty much well propped up on war industry, and this is fueling this, and lives don't matter. But I think the presence of this ship here today is a very stark warning to Ireland. We are being driven and driven more into militarism, and before we know it, we'll be part of these alliances and putting ourselves in danger. We should not allow it. We should have no time for warmongers. It's not nice to cozy up to people who are linked with such crimes. We shouldn't have it. We should hold our heads up and, you know, defend our sovereignty, defend our policy of neutrality, defend peace, defend diplomacy over war. And we're not getting that.
I just want to say one last thing. I want to say shame on our so-called leaders and politicians who stand with warmongers. Shame on them. Shame on them that they don't stand for peace. Absolutely shameful.
Thank you.